Welcome to Witch Talks, a series for spiritual seekers, witches, and enlightened souls. I'm Hannah the Suburban Witch, an intuitive tarot reader, astrologer, and eclectic witch, and I hope you're ready to get up close and personal with your favourite witches. In this episode, I'm chatting with Amy Harvey, a seasonal witch, tarot reader, and business owner from my home state of Victoria, Australia. Amy owns a witchy online shop called Wick and Sage, where she crafts the most delectable candles and crafts potions. I'm so looking forward to sharing Amy's work and wisdom with you today, so let's get into it. She is joining us via Zoom all the way from the hills in the Dandenong Ranges. Hey, Amy, welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you for having me.
So great to have you here. I'm sure you do a little more than this as well. I know you've got two little witches in training underneath you. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about you?
Yes. So let me think. What should I say? I guess I have been on my witchy journey for, a few years now. I mean, looking back, I think I've always been, like hindsight is an amazing thing. I think it's always been there, but I've been pretty solidly in my witchy world for a while, and I've started my business. I'm in my second year, nearly my third year of Wick and Sage now, which has been amazing. Got my two little witchies, little babies. I live in the hills. I'm such a forest witch, but also love the ocean. So I have this constant divide of, where do I want to be? I want to be in the ocean. No, I'm in the forest. So yeah.
And for anyone who doesn't know, and most of my readers and listeners are over in the States as well, the hills are like this beautiful mountain range. It is covered in ferns. It's always kind of moist and wet, like it's a little rainforesty but cold most of the time. It's magical. It's a place filled with fairies, but it is not close to the ocean.
And it's just the thing I love about it is that you can find secret spots everywhere. Like on the weekends, it's really busy with people, but you can still find places where I swear you just disappear into a different world. And there are fairies everywhere, and plus everything else. It's such a magical place. I absolutely love it. We're obsessed.
One of my favorite places in the world. When we first bought our house, I really wanted to live there, but it was just a little too far in terms of Ben's work. But we looked at a few and they are just so gorgeous, even though they're all on really, really steep blocks.
Oh my God.
On the mountain.
No wonder it's called the hills. That is a legit thing. Every day I go for a walk, and our street is really long, and I walk up this hill that is so steep, and I'm actually quite proud because I'm at the point now where I can walk up it without hyperventilating and going, I think I'm going to die. Now I can firmly get to the top. So I'm that's an achievement.
I'm so proud of you. And it is a witchy place as well up there in the hills, because one of my other favourite stores, Elfheim, is there. It's in Olinda. So I recommend everyone go and check out both of these stores online. They are fantastically witchy.
We were there 2 days ago, actually. It's such a cool shop. And everyone there is so nice.
They are. They really are. They're just beautiful. So, yes, absolutely top-notch stores over there. The hills are bringing out some amazing stuff.
It's where the witches are at.
It is. It really is. I mean, the fairies bring all sorts of magical folk, right?
Yes.
Now, I wanted to touch on your astrology chart just before we jump into it. So if you've been listening to the podcast, I do this with not all of my guests, but some of the guests, those that are comfortable with it, the ones that we can fit it in. Because if anyone listened to Rosie's story a few episodes back, it went for 2 episodes, so we couldn't fit anything extra in. So what I wanted to look at today was just your rising sun and moon signs. Now, you're a rising Libra, which means you have an incredible ability to bring beauty, balance, and harmony into the world. And I absolutely see that in the products that you create. They are beautiful. The first few candles that I got from you, they are filled with glitter and crystals, and they just look and smell divine. They are absolutely beautiful and harmonious. They're my husband's favorite candles from anywhere that I purchase them. He's like, oh, can we get more from Amy?
I love hearing that. I do. I put a lot of thought and love into them. And I love that they have this mixture of candle magic and herbal magic and crystal magic. And when they come together, they kind of just do their own thing. Like, it's not really me. I swear it's all them just like making beautiful things together. But thank you. I appreciate that.
And they smell divine. And we are filming this. So we are filming and recording this episode way in advance. Everyone that knows me, I am a Virgo. I just schedule things way ahead. Plus, we've got Christmas and an interstate move coming up. So I have to make sure I'm all sorted. And so we're filming this just before Christmas. And I actually purchased a couple of things from you, the summer solstice candle and also a gingerbread one, which smells amazing. We had people come into our house. And they said, what are you baking? And I said, I'm not. It's a candle.
That's what I love about it. When I got it, I was like, this is literally like real gingerbread. Because, you know, you get some candles and you're like, oh, it just smells fake. Where this is like, yes, real food in front of me, but you can't eat it.
My son today, well, actually my husband came out and said, do you know what our son was carrying around? He'd grabbed the candle. Thankfully it wasn't on. It was like 7 a.m. in the morning, but he grabbed it off the table and was walking around trying to like drink from it because it looks like it's in a cup. And I was like, I mean, it's really cute. It's really cute, but it's not a drink.
But dangerous.
Yes. So that sits in the very center of the dining table now. He's just into everything. But yes, you absolutely are doing, I mean, your rising sign is what you're here to do. So you're definitely bringing beauty and harmony and balance. It's a sense of peace as well with the products that you have. It brings this beautiful sense of peace to the space that we live in.
Beautiful.
And your sun sign and your moon sign, they're both in Leo. Yes. So it's like this double Leo energy. Yes. And that means that the sun is also the ruler of your moon, right? So you've got this like double sun energy, which gives you a brightness and an optimism that charms and attracts everyone around you. And I can absolutely say that is the case.
Thank you.
You're the queen of standing up as a shining example of authenticity. And you'll also be very creative, playful, glamorous, potentially with a penchant for drama, but in a good way, in a fun way.
Maybe a little bit. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, so that's how you express yourself. It's also going to be your moon sign as well. I do find people with this placement, the only thing is you long to be admired and for people to tell you lovely things about what it is that you do and who it is that you are. So if you ever read things like a negative review or get critical feedback, that can really hit home. That can make you really emotional.
It does. Yes, 100%.
Bit sensitive to the negative side of criticism, that sort of thing.
Yeah. It's like I go, yes, I want to hear it. But when you do, you go, oh, I've ruined everything. Like, it's not like a just brush it off kind of thing. It's like, it's a good 2-3 days, I think.
Yeah, I would absolutely recommend just ignore it all and just only seek out the positive reviews and just ignore everything else.
I think that's the best way to go about it.
All right. So how does that all sound to you? How does that sound with your personality?
I love hearing that stuff. Like, I think when you look at your astrology chart, it just kind of like breaks up your personality into so many different categories and it always fits. I find it's like always so spot on. I don't really know too much about my rising. So it's kind of cool to hear that stuff. And it does make sense because I think balance to me is so important. Like, I even have on my vision board that's behind me, I've written the word balance because I feel like when things are out of balance for me, I really feel it. And then when everything is like really nicely flowing, everything is perfect for me. Like, that is such a key thing in my life. So to hear that that's really connected to my rising is kind of cool. Really interesting.
And I do find people with Libra, especially in their rising, but anything prominent in their chart, and Libra has multifaceted sides to it as well. We often get the very airy, very positive, sometimes like, oh, they're a pushover or they're really romantic. Like, yes, they can be, but not all Libras. Some of them can be very charming. They know exactly what the right thing is to say to win someone over, which makes them really good salesmen. So there's a few different things there. There can be a little manipulative as well, being that air sign. But again, not all Libras. So it just depends on the person and how it sort of interacts with other things in the chart. But I do find with it as the rising, things like how something looks is really important. So that's why presentation in your candles really important. Being overdressed is almost not a thing.
Whenever I take photos for Instagram, they're like, it's a process.
They're gorgeous.
Like,
you are really good at those.
Well, that's the whole thing is I really like look at every single thing. Like it's not just like snap, take a photo. I sit there for ages going like, no, it needs to like look more natural here. And I'll obsess over like a petal that looks funny and like it has to look nice. So that's why sometimes when people go, oh, I'm just going to take a quick photo, I'm like, you can't do that. You can't do that.
That's me. I don't have time for that. Like even when you like when I've got products of yours and I want to share them, I'm like, look what I got. And like I take a photo, it has nothing on any of yours.
Thank you.
Don't think photos, and I've had people say before, photos aren't really my forte, but videos are.
Yes,
videos.
You do good videos. You do good videos.
But they're different as well. They're not like this beautiful, like I don't know if you've ever seen The Witch of the Southern Light, Marshall. No. He does these, he's on TikTok and he's got these beautiful reels and videos and things like that.
Yeah.
They're just super witchy and he uses all the effects and these voiceovers. And I'm just like, I want to be like that, but I'm not. I'm the kooky person that makes silly faces with voiceovers.
I love that though. I love that because it's like so relatable as well. Because you're like almost like mum life witch, like just straight to the point. Like I'm just going to say what it is. I can't be bothered with anything else. And I love that.
Yeah.
That's what it is sometimes.
Oh, mum life. I mean, as you know, I've just put my son into daycare and at the moment we're getting about 3 hours in daycare twice a week because he's just not coping with the transition. Having been a COVID baby, I'm the only one that's ever looked after him. So he's like, what the hell is this?
Yes. Knows that there's more people in the world. What?
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't you tell me?
So I'm trying to do like my normal services, like my readings and my guidance calls and all of that. Alongside, I'm creating a course, I'm running this podcast, and I do all of this between the hours of like 8:30 p.m. and 11 or 12 at night. And I just cram it all in. So everything that I do is like quick and to the point.
I saw this thing once and it was like, if you ever need like, what was it, like a spy or someone to, get in and like achieve something big, like get a mum because they know how to achieve about 40 things in a 2-hour nap. Like they know to get in, get it done. And it's so true.
Absolutely. That was me this morning. Although a 2-hour nap would be amazing if we got that.
2-hour naps are the best.
So what I wanted to get you on today to talk about, aside from just catching up because you're just so lovely, we are going to chat Candle Magick because we did a Candle Magick live on Instagram. And I think it was really good. It was really useful. It had so much amazing stuff in there, especially you being someone who crafts the candles from scratch. So you have like this extra layer to them. So we're going to try and recreate that somehow. I can't even remember what we did or said. It was quite a few months ago.
I feel we can do it, but it'll be better this time.
It will.
Way better.
you can edit this. We couldn't edit the live.
That's right. I know.
So
we'll do it.
This episode, which everyone listening will know, but this comes out on the 16th of February, which is going to be the day before the full moon in Leo. So you're going to be feeling amazing when it comes out.
Yeah.
And then the closest Sabbath to that will be upcoming will be Marbon. So I thought we might like to talk a little bit about that in terms of Candle Magick just to get started. So Marbon is the autumnal equinox here in the Southern Hemisphere. At the same time, it's going to be Ostara over in the Northern Hemisphere, which is the spring equinox. So what sort of things, if we're looking at candles that you would create for these Sabbats, what sort of things would you put into them and what would be your intent behind them as well?
Well, whenever I think of that time, like for me, I say Mabon just because I have an Irish husband. So whenever I hear the Sabbath names, he's like, you're saying it wrong, say it this. So I say
I'm
Mabon.
probably saying it wrong, let's be honest.
So so for Mabon, I always think it's harvest time. So, winter is coming, autumn is here, the cooler months are upon us, and you are really like enjoying, like I think it's the second harvest festival. Is that right? The first is, I think it's the second one, but you're basically enjoying like the things that you've grown throughout the summer. And that's like not necessarily food. or vegetables or whatever. It's like new goals, because for us, we've got New Year. So it's like all these new things that we're growing and that would have started to eventuate at that point. So for me, I think abundance. And so cinnamon, lots of spicy things, like you think like apple pies. Like I'll always make an apple pie at Mabon because it's got that cinnamon for abundance and good luck and happiness and lust and all that stuff. It's all in there. And then you've got things like apples, which are really good for divination. Like apples are connected to so many forms of like divination, in like even opening up an apple and seeing your future love in the core and all that stuff. And going into autumn, it's near Samhain as well, so the veil is starting to become thinner, and divination and though like ancestor work is starting to become a bit more prominent. So connecting with apples is really good. So for me, if I was going to make, when I do make candles, I will always do like cinnamon, apples, some kind of spice, lots of warming kind of scents as well, because it is getting cooler and it's time to spend in your home. So I always think as well, going into autumn, you're going to be spending a lot more time inside. So you really pay more attention in making your home feel like a sacred space, like giving it a good clean, making it really cozy and warm. So, smells and scents that make you feel that kind of coziness. That's what I always go for going into autumn, I think.
I love that. I always get really jealous when I see all the people in the Northern Hemisphere, mainly Americans, going into their fall or autumn, and they always talk about pumpkin spice and pumpkin spice lattes, and I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing.
I know, right? Like
we need that
over there.
Well, for us, we don't get a lot of the changes in the actual environment around us that they do. Like we have a few trees that will lose their leaves, but none of the native ones, basically. All of the eucalyptus or the gum trees that we have, they're all evergreen. They just keep their leaves and they stay the same color the whole time. Up in the hills, I feel like there's only a little bit of change.
Living up in the hills, that's one thing I noticed, is that you do see the seasons change a lot more than other places I've lived. Like we used to live down in the peninsula near the beach, so there was like nothing. It was either hot or cold. Where here, you drive around and you start to see, like if it's going into autumn, you see these like orange and red leaves start to appear, and then all of a sudden, winter's here and everything is bare and all the leaves are on the ground, and then spring wildflowers appear out of nowhere. So I have noticed in this like beautiful hub up here, we do seem to have all the seasons, which is so exciting to see. Because like that's like one thing I really connect with is what happens to nature around us. So being able to see like, in spring, dandelions start shooting out and all these random wildflowers appear, it just like makes it a bit more magical. Like you actually see the real magic of a season. I love it.
Absolutely. See, I think I have a bit of a skewed view of the seasons here in Australia, at least. Having lived in Canada for a couple of years, up in the mountains up there in Alberta.
I'd love to go to Canada.
It's so amazing. And their seasons are literally like, they have like 9 months of snow. So it's like a very long winter. But you get like the full experience of all of these seasons. And I've never had that before. And then we've moved back here, and my husband and I are like, it's just not the same. It just doesn't feel the same. And now we're about to move to Queensland. So when this airs, we will be in Queensland, where it's going to be tropical rainforests. So we'll get even less of that. Yeah, that's a whole
different thing, isn't it? I would love to, like one of our goals is to live over in America, even for just a year, to experience the seasons, especially like the witches calendar over there, because sometimes it can be a bit weird down here when we've got, like Yule is in the middle of the year, but then at the end of the year for like the Northern Hemisphere, they've got Christmas and Yule together, and it's snowing and it's all festive, and we're like, I kind of feel like you missed out.
Yeah, so I agree. Because we've got Christmas, which brings us like all of the elements of Yule. Like a lot of people are, they've got decorations that look very Yule-like.
It should be cold outside. The
Yeah,
songs are telling us that.
Exactly. There are there's pretty much no Australian songs that I've ever heard that talk about a hot Christmas.
Boiling outside.
Yeah. The weather outside is frightful. It's boiling, hot and sweaty and 40 degrees.
Yeah. So cozy and festive.
Yeah, exactly. And the foods that we're traditionally eating over Christmas, they're winter foods, they're heavy foods. It just feels
they're meant to like keep you warm.
So but we will be celebrating the summer solstice with your summer solstice candle.
Oh, good.
I'm going to tell you
really good.
I'm going to tell it smells like peaches. It's amazing. I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of my rituals that I do. So my main ones that I do are the solstices because I don't know, they just sing to my soul. So the winter solstice and the summer solstice. For the winter solstice, I use a Yule candle or any candle is fine, but I love your Yule candle. And so what I do is in the 13 days prior to the winter solstice, I will light the candle for an hour each night at sunset. And we all sit around as a family and we will tell a ghost story. So we each take turns telling a ghost story. I mean, my daughter's one's, she's 4, so they're kind of like, there was a spooky sound and it was a ghost. That's the extent of the story. It's very terrifying, but I can see this tradition growing beautifully with the family. And then on the last night, which is the actual winter solstice, we let the candle just burn out. So as long as that takes. And what we do is we all share like a mulled wine, and we can make a non-alcoholic version for the kids as well. So it's really family oriented and warm and inside. I love that. It's lovely. And then for the summer solstice, what I'm planning to do is to do it the opposite. So light the candle for the first time on the summer solstice, let it burn for quite a few hours that night. And then every night for the next 13 nights, burn it for 1 or so hours, as to almost like doing it before winter solstice is almost that see you later to the sun. And then doing it on the other side, it's kind of like, I don't know, it works in my head and I really like it.
So I love that.
Having those little candle traditions.
With the kids as well, like they have that visual kind of thing to look at. Like, how sometimes you'll explain a Sabbath to a child and they're like, okay. But like if you can have that physical thing that they can be excited about, it's almost like a birthday candle where they're like, yay, that must be a good thing.
Yeah, and we bring it out every night. And so it's like this big little ritual that we all partake in. We all want to watch it, light up and sit around together. So, and it's kind of, saying goodbye to the sun by letting it burn longer after the solstice. I think that's kind of how my brain thinks of it. Do you have any rituals?
Onto it.
Yeah, do you have any rituals with candles that you use similar to that?
Well, let me think. I'll always do a wish candle for whatever, it could be a solstice or any Sabbath, really. I'll always have a wish candle because I feel like no matter what one it is, there's always this magic around it that's kind of enhanced. So it's always a good time to do a spell of some sort, even if it's just it could even be an offering, to an ancestor or whatever. But I always will do some kind of acknowledgement of something or wish or something with a wish candle, where I'll always like carve onto it. Like, so for, Leith is coming up. So I would do, and for that, it's coming into the new year as well. So I'll probably write like a goal that I have to do for next year, the year coming, or even just, a word that kind of I wish for next year, like no COVID would be a good one, something like that. I'll always do a wish for the following year. So I'll do a wish candle. I will have my summer solstice candle on the table. So we always have a big feast, no matter what it is. We'll always, and that's the one thing we do with our kids as well, as we get them involved in making the food. So for Letha, we do like lavender lemonade, which is so good. I had
that at my engagement party. We had a lavender themed engagement.
Oh, that's a cool theme.
It was in the middle of summer. I was heavily pregnant and all I wanted was lavender to keep me calm.
Yes, perfect.
So it was great. We did the lavender lemonade and I think I did lavender scones. We did, I had lavender from one of the lavender farms, which was just down the road. I made all these beautiful little arrangements, lavender buttercream on the cake. Like, it was just, I went a bit overboard.
Good. Yes. So we'll definitely do that. And then I love making cakes or cookies with like dried flowers on it. Really like bring in the flower energy, because Letha and the summer solstice is very connected with fairies as well, fairies and flowers. So we'll probably do all that. But with candles, what else? It really depends on what I'm doing, but those two will usually be the main things, because we'll have our big table with all our food and then the candle in the middle. But yeah, I think they're the main things I do with Candle Magick.
I interrupt your listening pleasure to ask you if you're enjoying this podcast. I ask because this series is a labour of love, and if you like what you're hearing, consider signing up as a Patreon supporter to see its continued success. Not only will you receive exclusive access to my private Facebook group, but also monthly live readings and moon ritual worksheets. Head over to patreon.com/Suburban Witchery to sign up now. And now back to the show.
So is that sort of your preferred one to use, the wish candles or chime candles, which are the small short burn? There, I think 2 hours. Is it 2 hour burn?
Yeah,
time?
they're like 2 hours, like 1 or 2 hours. I do love to use them kind of they're good because they're quick. And I like using them because you can kind of customize them a bit. You can write on them, you can put herbs on them, you can, they're all the different colors as well. If you want to, if you got blue for personal power, black for banishing or something, if you're really connected with colors. Some people don't really care. So I like that part of it. So yeah, I guess it would probably be the main one. The bigger candles I like to just burn like most during the day, just because it's like an overall vibe,
ambiance.
Yeah, exactly. You burn that abundance candle just because you're like, yep, I'm bringing that in this week. It can burn all the time. But I like the wish candles because they're just, they get to the point.
I also really enjoy tea light candles because, again,
yes,
they're quick burn. You can carve into them as well. And
love it.
I've been doing something recently where I have either something I want to get rid of or something I want to bring in, and I'll use 2 tea light candles. And so let's just say it's something I want to bring in. So I might write, one of them might be my name, and the other one, let's just, for an example's sake, let's say money, right? I want to bring money to me, and I'll place them maybe 30 centimeters apart on my altar, safely on something that won't burn because they get really hot.
They do.
So carve into them, and I might be using green. If you don't have a green tea light, you can just shave off a little bit of a green crayon into there and let it melt in there and tint it that way, adding in some herbs if I want to add any little herbs, or just however I want to do it. Writing in my name and money, have them about 30 centimeters apart, light them up for, let's say, 10 minutes. The next day, I'm going to move them a little bit closer together and do the same thing. The next day, move them a little bit closer, do the same thing. And then the last day, they're touching each other. So I've brought that money towards me and let them burn out.
Love
love that. Or the opposite, if you want to get rid of something, you pull them apart. Obviously, go the opposite way.
I like that. And you know what I think is cool about that, again, because it's so visual. And I think people forget a lot. When you do a spell, and especially self-doubt comes in pretty strong. And like when you have that intention, you have that spell and you let it go on the world, and then the minute you go, it's not happening, you just like cut that cord and it can just fly away. So when you have that, like carving something into a candle or moving them closer or moving them away, you have that like physical thing in front of you that's showing you, I am like putting my magic into this candle by writing what I want. And you see the word, you see the thing that it is that you want, and it kind of just like confirms it more in your mind and tells that doubt to just like go away, because what you're doing is becoming more and more of a physical thing than just an idea. So I love that idea of like moving the candles together or moving them away. I think especially if you're starting out, that's a really cool exercise to do.
I love using them as visual props. So with a lot of my magic spells, like you don't need anything, right, to do magic. You don't need any props at all. But for me, I find it really helpful to almost solidify what I'm doing, and it helps me with almost layering my intent. So it's like, okay, I have to put thought and energy into finding a herb that corresponds with what I want, and then I have to put thought and energy into finding maybe a crystal, because I'll often, depending on the candle magic I'm doing, if I'm doing a fixing candle, I might grid the candle, so I'll do a crystal grid around it. So I'm thinking about how that crystal grid works in together with the candle. I've dressed the candle, what oils have I used, all of the things. I might draw on the outside of that candle because I'm having different things I'm putting into it, or if I want to divine the meaning of what the spell's going to do. So there's so many layers that you're adding on, and all of that is just building up the energy, which builds up your spell and builds up your power.
Exactly. It's like if you give someone a birthday present, you could just like give them anything. Go, here you go, I got your birthday present. Or you could, sit and really think like, what would make this person really happy? And then you would go and you would track it down, you would find it, and then you'd bring it home, and then you could wrap it so it looks really nice. And then you would find a card with like a funny picture or something that reminds you of them, and you write a note in it and you put it on and you give them this gift, and there's like so much love and thought into it, and that's going to have this bigger burst than if you go, here you go, just chuck something,
here's a gift card.
Kind of what it means. Yeah, exactly. Here's a gift card, didn't even write on it.
Bunnings gift card, have fun.
Put that thought in, that's the magic, that's what you want.
I love that example. That's fantastic. It's very good visual as well. Perfect for, as we're filming this, being close to Christmas as well.
Yeah.
Everyone listening is going to be like, stop talking about Christmas. It's not Christmas here.
Yeah, I know. Christmas is over. Let it go.
Never. So when it comes to the candle magic that you do for your own spells, your own craft, that sort of thing, and it doesn't even have to be the actual spell candles, it can be the ones by ambiance, it can be ones that you're burning potentially as an offering or anything like that, or call in an energy. Do you have any do's or don'ts with working with candles?
Do's or don'ts? Let me think. Never leave a candle unattended.
What's your thought on if you have like a fixing candle that burns for like 7 days? What do you do? Does it ruin the magic to put it out?
I don't think it does. I mean, I don't see how people could think they could sit there for 7 days staring at a candle. It's just not possible. And I don't believe that there's a rule book that says if you blow that candle out, this is over. I think if you're going to do something like that, there's still power in relighting a candle and sitting in that area and refocusing and adding fuel to it. I don't think that, if you have to leave, it's the end of the world. I think you worrying about that and you going, I've ruined everything, has got more power in ruining your spell than if you blow out a candle,
Yeah, I agree.
Sometimes you just gotta go.
Do you prefer to blow them out or snuff them out or poke them out with fingers?
I just blow them out. I know there's like all these things, and some people are like, oh, you can't do that. But honestly, I don't overthink it. I really don't. I don't think it matters.
I think one of the very first TikTok reels I ever did, I blew out a flame on an incense stick, and I got so many comments like, oh no, you have offended the element of fire. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the fire will be fine.
I think it will be fine. I'm not that special that it's going to be like, how could you do that to me?
I'm not coming when you call a circle.
Never again. No, I don't think it really cares.
Exactly. I like to snuff them. I don't know why. I think I just prefer it. And sometimes it's easier depending on the candle type as well.
Yep.
Especially the really long, deep ones. What about figure candles? Do you ever use those? Or do you create those yourself?
No, but I will be. I will be. It's coming. Actually, it's to do with something that I work with. I'll give that as a little clue.
Can I say or not say?
So it is to do with, because I work with Aphrodite. So it's to do with her. But I haven't really used them as much. But I think they're kind of cool. I think because there's like, again, that visual, like there's some pretty cool ones out there. Like you can get like, there's like the naked women, and I saw one that was, you could get like a green man one, and there's really cool ones. So yeah, especially if you're a visual person and you like seeing that kind of stuff, it's going to spark something in you by looking at it. So yeah, go for it.
I've been given a couple of the almost like a bust, but I guess it's like hips and boobs, little bust women
and butt.
and they're super cute, but I'm also like, I want to save them for something, but I don't know. Do I do them on a Friday and do it for like a self-love spell because they're really feminine and womanly? I'm sure there's something else there that I'm holding on to them for. I just haven't come across it.
You'll come across something and go, now's the time.
Yes. I do want to get my hands on. I have seen a few that are, let's just say, more normal bodied, more realistic bodied. I would like to get my hands on something like that actually represents like my postpartum body, for example. Like that would be great in a candle, rather than these gorgeous, sexy, voluptuous little candle women, but I don't look like that.
No one looks like the candle woman.
No. She's an unrealistic expectation of womanhood.
She doesn't even have a head.
No. I guess that's what most guys like.
We don't need to hear them talk. Just boobs and ass.
Who designed these candles?
It was a man. I think it was a man.
Now, you use a lot of crystals in your candles as well. Do you think, question about that. Are you supposed to pluck them out before you burn it or after?
You don't have to. The reason why I like using them, I mean, obviously they look really nice, but in all my candles, I have herbs and I have crystals, because I just think it's like extra magic together. And being able to infuse when you use like a wish candle, that has got magic in it. You put your wish into that. But then imagine if you could get herbs that have all these different properties, not just the one. Like you might have some that, if it's for love, it also has like peace of mind, it has confidence, it has this and that. And that's like extra power put in. And then you get a crystal and that sits in there, and that adds extra magic as well. So it's like you've got a spell put in a physical object, and everything you need is there. All you have to do is light it. So I love having all those different elements that are there as like a support team for you. So all you have to do is light a match or light a lighter or something. That's your job. And the rest is there to be like, yay, go you, we're going to do it for you. I love using them all together like a little crew, a little witchy crew.
Do you use particular, when you are dressing a candle, for example, a wish candle, do you use a particular oil of choice?
It really depends on what it's for. So sometimes if I want to call in a guide or a goddess or something, I'll either create an oil for them, or if I'm doing like an abundance spell, I might use like cinnamon oil or mint or something. So it really depends on what I'm doing, I think.
That just came. I've never thought to put essential oils in my oil that I'm dressing the candle with.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll craft my own ritual oils, which is usually like I guess you call it carrier oil, so a base oil, and then I'll add a ton of herbs and things like that. So depending on the purpose, whether it's a success one or a prosperity one or whatever it is, it might have chunks of ginger in there, that sort of thing. I'll let it steep and sit there for a while, and then I'll use that. But then when we move so frequently, I can't cart those across the country because they could leak and go everywhere, or go rancid and go gross.
And they will.
Yes. Especially when we went to Perth, they were in the truck for like 4 weeks. So I just haven't done them recently. So I've just been using olive oil or coconut oil. But I could totally put an essential oil into that oil. Mind blowing. And then also the herbs on top. Wow.
Exactly.
Thank you. You saved me time.
Talk
And
over.
do you create those oils to sell as well? Because I know you sell
I do.
the crystal rollers and things like that, and you spray the sprays, which my daughter loves, the No Monster spray. That's fantastic.
Yay. Yes, I do. So I've got the rollers. They're all basically potions, but they're just in different bottles. So the rollers have got crystals in it as well, again, to kind of boost it. And they each have their own intention. So there's one like the wood elf it has lots of pine and like cypress, lots of tree kind of energy, because it's a very grounding potion. So it's designed for when, you know, those days where you're super scattered, you can't concentrate, you're just all over the place, or you're really nervous, or you're just, you know, you're stressing about things you wouldn't normally. This helps you just bring you back down to earth. So I always put that on the bottom of my feet to kind of almost connect me back into the earth. It's almost like these roots are growing out of your feet. Or there's ones like the Realm Beyond, where I'll put that on my third eye.
They're so good.
The Realm Beyond, I put on my third eye and my temples, and that really, it does the opposite. Basically, it lifts you up, it connects you to literally a realm beyond, and guides and kind of opens that door to allow more messages to come in. So each of those rollers, like there's even ones like the Breathe one is for stress, the Courage one is for courage. I gave that one to my little girl when she started prep this year. So when she's at school, if she felt really stressed, she would like bring it out, and they're little, so you can just chuck them in your bag. So she'd bring it out and put it on if she felt scared. So they're really good for that. And then I have ritual oils for certain goddesses. So I've got Aphrodite, Bridget, and Freya, and they're good to do if you want their blessing for, like, if you were doing a candle spell, I would put like their oil on the candle to say, I'm calling you in, can you please bless this spell? Can you bring your magic to this spell and help me? I've got ones for, like, they're called sea folk, so that connects you to ocean energy. Fae folk is a good like offering to the fairies, or if you're doing fairy work. Lunar is for the moon. So there's all different kinds. I love, like, besides candles, potions is like such a cool thing to dive into, because there's a lot to work with.
I love it. I love it. And so you work with deities.
Yes.
Do you ever burn a candle for them or to communicate with them?
I do. So I work a lot. Mainly I'll work with Aphrodite and with Hecate. They come to me for all different reasons and all different ways. But one I always connect with a candle is Artemis on a full moon. For some reason, I just felt super drawn to kind of give her the full moon. And so I'll always light a white candle for her as kind of like a, hi, how you doing? And not that I even really want anything. It's just kind of like the full moon's here, you're here, this is for you. Or if I'm doing a spell and just say I want Hecate to come in, I might burn a separate candle. Like if I've got my spell work in front of me, I might burn a separate candle just for her as like a thank you, appreciate you, help me, and whatever. But sometimes I'll just wake up and I feel really like I can feel someone around me. And so I'll just burn a candle to say, hi, thank you. So it kind of varies. It does vary, but I think it is nice to do that. I think it kind of, it's like a nice bonding moment to give them something and not just ask. Sometimes people just ask for stuff all the time. And I think sometimes it's nice just to give because you feel like doing it, you know?
I agree. And I find fire and candles feels really sacred. It feels like, I don't know, primal. It is primal. It's primal energy. And it's very connective. I do find that it for me, if I'm trying to connect with something and I use fire, it feels really quick. Like it's a quick connector to whoever it is I'm wanting to communicate with. Do you have an ancestor altar at all? Do you work with your ancestors?
No, I don't. I don't actually. I don't. I remember one time I was doing a tarot? I was doing a tarot course, and randomly throughout it, my teacher was like, I just wanted to let you know there's someone literally behind you. And I'm sitting there like, okay, I can't see anyone. But she was telling me it was an ancestor of mine who I've obviously never met, but she is like really connected to me, and she was a witch as well, and she wants to like share her magic with me. And so I kind of have this like fascination with finding out who she is and learning more about her and connecting more with her. So sometimes I will try and do that with her, but in terms of other ancestors, I mean, my poppy, so my dad's dad, he's always around. He's passed, but he's always around. Like if anyone ever has a reading or anything, he's always the first person like, hello, how you going? So sometimes I'll kind of check in with him, but no, I probably should do more. I need to learn a little bit more about how to do that. And I think the idea of it is really cool. But I personally don't do as much.
I don't think it's something you need to learn too much about. Like you can't really go wrong. I think one of the main rules is you don't put a picture of a living person on an ancestor altar, because that would be like putting someone in the land of the dead, which may the idea is you're like speeding up their timely demise. Like you don't want that.
That's a bit creepy. Hey,
unless you're kind of potentially like, hey guys, can you look after this person and whatever. I wouldn't put a photo of someone that was alive on mine. I do have lots of photos and trinkets and things from my ancestors, and they're not even all ancestors that I've known physically. Like I haven't known all of them. My mother's mother, she died when my mum was 9. Obviously, I never met her, but she's on the altar space. She's represented there. She's still an important figure. My Oma, which is my great-grandmother on my father's side, she came in recently, and I feel terrible for this, but I wasn't super close with her when I was a child. She died when I was quite young, and I didn't really think to put her on there. It just never occurred to me, right? And she was a very Christian woman, so it never occurred to me. And one day I was in my meditative space, and she came in, and I was like, oh, like super surprised, like, oh wow, hi. Are you angry that I'm doing all this stuff? Like it was a little bit sort of tiptoeing around that fact. And she was like, no, I'm actually here to help you, and we're going to work on tarot readings together. And so she's now represented up there as well. And I've got my husband's grandmother, so she's represented, because I find when you marry, like their ancestors become your ancestors too.
We're all family.
A family, exactly. So, and I've got distant relatives as well from the early 1900s. Obviously I've never met, but my son is named after one of them, so they're represented up there. And I often have, and I've currently got a candle burning. I usually have a candle burning when I'm in this space or around the altar, and that's kind of it's usually just a plain white candle, and it might be in a glass candle, or it might be just a pillar, however it is, and it's just like a, hey, this is for you guys. It lights your way, so you can come and spend time with us here if you wish. I might make a cup of tea for myself, one for the ancestor altar. So that's sort of all we really do. And sometimes I might ask for, like, my nan is unwell, so like, hey, can you look after her for me? And I'll ask them rather than place her on the altar. So it doesn't have to be complex. I don't think witchcraft ever has to be complex. We can make it really complex if we want to. I mean, you could become a ceremonial magician. That is complex as hell.
Yes.
I guarantee you there are no mums of little kids that are ceremonial magicians.
Not. I don't have time for that.
It'd be impossible.
I'd probably get to the end of the day and be like, I'm so tired. My magic is me falling into my bed. And then that's a magical experience. I'm not doing a ceremony.
Exactly. Some of those ceremonies go for like 30 days or even longer. Like,
I mean, good on them.
For that. No, let's do that. 2-hour wish candle. We're good.
Yeah. Chuck it on. I got a tea light, whatever.
All right. Is there anything else in terms of the way that you use candles that we haven't discussed, or any types of candles that we haven't discussed that you wanted to talk about?
Let me think. Not really. I mean, I think the important thing is, and this is what we've already kind of covered, is that people get very obsessive about rules. Like, even like when you are dressing a candle, sometimes people are like, you have to go from the bottom to the top, or you have to go from the top to the bottom.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to that.
Don't pay attention to that stuff. Like, I think you're going to connect to candles and candle magic and fire, and in all different ways. Like, there might be someone who looks at fire and they're terrified of it, like it makes them feel so uncomfortable, and they're going, but they said I had to do a candle magic spell, and it just doesn't sit well, like there's a million different ways to do one thing. So I think the most important thing is to just like really connect in of what feels right to you, because you and I have said ways to do things, but it might not sit well with you. But if you do it this way, you're more drawn to that. So just always listen to your own gut feeling and go with what works. And if it doesn't feel right, it's not going to be a successful spell. You like, the outcome isn't going to be strong, because there's that self-doubt, there's that weird feeling or whatever it is. But if you do something and everything just kind of feels right to you and feels natural, then go with it. Like, if anyone judges you for it or tells you you're wrong, ignore them. You don't need those people. You don't need them.
I think fear as well is such a block. It blocks our magic. It blocks our intuition. It just stops us. It closes us up, which is unfortunate.
It's your magic. You can do whatever you want.
To be honest, some of the best spells that I do are really, really fast. Like, I might just I really need whatever it is I need right now, and I'm like, quick, carve something into a tea light, chuck that on whilst I'm racing around the house, putting on the washing, come back, check on it, it's fine, good, it's done, and then just forget about it. And I think that's such a key, is you just kind of leave it up to the universe. I've done what I need to do. I can't do anything else. Do your thing, universe. Fix it out. Figure it out for me. You figure out the details.
And also, you might be like, something might come up and you're feeling so many emotions. Everything's really heightened. Imagine like that energy, and then going, oh no, wait, I need to stop, and I need to go and look up the right herb for this. And then I need to go and I need to put my candle here facing east. And then it's like that magic just starts to disappear. But if you do something when you're in that like heightened space, like
spur of the moment of inspiration,
man? Yeah. Like, I remember we had really bad storms here. I think it was in June, and everyone on the hills lost power. There were trees down everywhere. And I was like, what the hell is going on? We'd just come out of lockdown. It was all falling apart. And I was like, no, this is not going to happen. And I was like, so like angry, because I'm like, this is bullshit. You can't take us out of lockdown, take away our power. And so I did this road opener, and it was like a total, like, on the fly, like Patty, my husband, had gone out to like get takeaway food, and the kids are running around in the dark. And I was like, no, this is not happening. And then I did this road opener, and then literally within half an hour, our power just burst on. And I was like, wow,
I love that.
That was kind of cool. And that was like without any thought, just pure intention. And like, that's all you need. That's all you need.
I love that. Yeah, to be honest, I kind of love when we lose the power, because then I can get all my candles out and I can be like, oh,
that is kind of cool. It's like super witchy vibes.
It really is. I love it. That's why I love Earth Hour every year. It's like, that's my time to shine.
It is. But then the thing is, when you can't have the power for more than an hour, you go, it's not fun anymore. It's not fun.
No, I love it.
Freezing cold.
I sit there and I read like a book by candlelight. My husband's like, you're going to wreck your eyes. And I'm like, no, I love this. It just feels so like I'm in a Jane Austen novel.
I was going to say, it is. It's like that. Like, someone should be playing the piano in the background, and you're in a beautiful gown.
And would you like to take a turn about the room?
I would like to do that, yes. I wish.
And some witty banter back and forth.
That would be amazing.
So I used to work and live in the Amazon jungle, and we didn't have electricity at all. So
No, you wouldn't.
that was fun. So there's no electricity, there was no
Wow.
hot water, which was fine because most of the time it was really hot. But sometimes it got a little bit cool, and I was like, oh, I really don't want to shower now, but I have to.
Wow, the Amazon.
It was amazing. But what we used to do is obviously use candles. And I'll tell you what, I've never slept as well as I did when we were there, sleeping with the sun. Like literally, it gets dark and you're like, well, the only thing we have is a candle, and it's not a lot of candles. It's not a lot of light. So you just go to bed. And then in the morning, you wake up when the sun wakes up, and it didn't have, where we lived, didn't have windows, like they weren't glass. It was just chicken wire. So you'd wake up with a monkey on the other side, just like making noises at you. Or
that's amazing.
It wasn't so great if they peed on you, because it would go straight through the chicken wire onto your bed. And you're like, no, this is not how I wanted to wake up.
You would have had some mad spiders there.
Yes, there were a lot of spiders, and we would do like nighttime walks. So we'd take our little head lanterns and our machetes, and we'd go tramping
and your
through
machete,
tramping through the jungle, looking for certain things or doing whatever we were doing, checking on animals, because it was an animal rescue centre where I worked. So sometimes we'd go and check on animals that might be nocturnal that we had released, and just make sure that they were doing okay. And as you're shining your torchlight, you'd see all these things reflected back at you, and you're like, what's that? And they're like, oh, that's the eyes of the spiders. And you're like, I wish you didn't tell me that. Like just these little pinpoints of reflection, kind of like when you see a cat's eyes in a flash, like that's what it looked like. It was not fun. And then I remember we saw a caiman, which is like a crocodile, in the river where we swim all day, like right near the waterfall. We're like, oh, that's fun. I didn't know that was there. But obviously the light reflected off its eyes as well. So it's quite illuminating to go for a nighttime jungle walk. But we would have candlelight. So because it was the jungle, we didn't have, like, it's a rescue centre, it's not for profit, so there wasn't a lot of money. So what we would do is any old bottles, so glass bottles that we'd used, we would fill with sand, and then at the top we would put like, it was like more wire, like chicken wire in the very top of it, mold it around the edge of it, and then shove a candlestick in the top. And so the bottle would become this little carrier that we could carry around the house.
That's so cool. I love that.
To go up and down the stairs, whatever we had to do, go to the toilet in the dark. So that was what I used to read my books with by night, or I'd have my little headlamp sometimes, and I'd go to sleep with just this beautiful candle.
Such a beautiful light, isn't it? You know, like it's like made for eyes. Like our artificial light, it makes you, especially at nighttime, it's so bright and so like it keeps you awake, where candlelight just like creates this peace. Like if
it mellows you out.
It's so nice. I love that. I love it.
Just to get way too much information, I don't know if I should share this, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Do it.
It's my podcast. I can say what I like.
Do it, girl.
So we found, my husband and I, is going to kill me, we found that lighting in certain moments was really throwing off the mood. I'm very much an atmosphere person. Yeah. So we now have a sex candle. It's literally used for that purpose. And so it's like just that one candle that we use only when that's happening, and it just throws the most beautiful shadows. It's very sexy, and it's also very flattering as well. It's very flattering light. So if you are finding it hard to get in the mood, try candlelight. Trust me.
Yeah. I actually think, you know what, that is so true, because when you do have too much light, that's when you start to go and like think about, what am I looking like? Like, what do I, you pay way too much attention to what's going on. But when you do have that soft light, like we have a salt lamp in our room.
Salt lamps are also great.
So it's like mood light. It just makes the mood right.
So we have that currently in the bedroom where my son is, because it's like great for feeding overnight, doesn't wake him up too much. So it stays there. So we had to find an alternative in the spare bedroom.
I love that. The sex candle.
Sex candle, oh God. And it's so funny. It's like, it was a candle that was a gift to me, and it's in the shape of like this rose, and
that's beautiful.
it's a pretty candle. It's this pink rose, but I mean, roses, for some reason, ever since having my son, every time I pulled a card when I was in labor or like the weeks leading up to it, it was always this one called the Ever Unfolding Rose. And it just makes me think of vaginas now, like opening up. Like, it's so funny that we have this candle that's a rose.
I guess it's kind of appropriate.
Kind of. I don't know how it worked out like that. That was
very
just the candle
visual.
that was in that room. And I was like, let's use this. And now
That's
it's
so
a thing.
Funny. I love that.
We are all a lot closer now after this episode.
We really are. We've learned a lot more about each other.
So you don't have a sex candle?
I don't, but now I think I should get one.
Well, I know someone you can get them off.
Yeah.
She's really
good
great.
Rose. Maybe I should start doing that. Rose sex candles.
You know what? You actually could totally put in some cinnamon, some red hot chili flakes, spice it up, add a little bit of carnelian. We've got a sex drive candle right there.
Mm-hmm.
Good fertility, like boosting. Get everything
It's a
going.
whole market. It's a whole new market.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I'll hit you up when we're ready for number 3.
That's the best.
All right. Well, it has been so lovely chatting with you and diving into candles, Candle Magick, and all of that. If anyone would like to shop your shop, what is the address that they can go to? I'll pop the links in the description box. And how can they find you on Instagram as well?
Yes. So website is wickandsage.com. And Instagram is literally the same thing. Wick and Sage. That's where I am. That's Perfect. Where you'll find me. I'm on there a lot. So you'll be able to find me.
Yeah. And you do lots of lives and lots of stuff in your stories as well, sharing your life and your products and everything like that. So
yeah. I do a lot of rant. I try not to rant too much, but then I just start and then it disappears and then, whatever.
I have it, some people are so funny about their own business page. Like, I can't say that. I can't do this. It's like, why not? It's your own business.
Do whatever you want.
You're not part of a corporation. Like, leave that to the corporate people.
And I think people like that. They like to see that, like, you're a human and you aren't this, like, perfect person who is like, a corporation where it's like, squeaky clean, whatever. I think when you kind of like take away all that, it's way more relatable and people will listen to you a lot more as well because they're like,
I find clients or customers are nicer as well when they can see you're a real human being and they can connect with you. Like, I used to work in corporate and I used to be absolutely afraid to answer the phone because I knew people were just going to yell at me. And it was like anxiety inducing. It was horrible. I didn't want to check my emails ever. Now I get an email and I'm like, oh, someone emailed me. And it's either someone saying like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I loved that reading that you did. Or like the other day when my son was sick and I had someone who I'd booked a guidance call with and they emailed me and said, hey, I saw your story. Don't even worry. We will sort it out another day. Take all the time you need. And I almost cried. I was like, how beautiful are people that they're so nice. Like, this was my expensive one. It's $100. And she was just like, don't worry. You take care of you. I'll be here whenever you're ready. I'm like,
that's so beautiful.
I'd never get that back in the corporate realm. So I think small businesses and being real, being yourself on social media, it's part of the joy and part of the beauty of it.
And also you'll attract people who are your like vibe, if you might see people and they are being themselves and you go, they're not for me. But then you find someone who you do connect with, who you do like go, yes, you're seeing the world the same way I see it. And then it's just a way better fit rather than just someone who's pretending to be something that they're not. It kind of, I think that will flow into what they create as well. It's not as believable, but when people are just like, this is who I am, then it's just a bit more authentic, I think.
I'm all about that authentic businesses. I love it. All right, Amy, thank you again for sharing your wisdom and your bright light with all of us and everyone listening and watching along at home. If you haven't already, please leave us a rating or review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us stay in the charts as a still somewhat new podcast. It's going to just help me a lot with getting this out there. Remember, you can also watch it over on YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces. And as always, I hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are in the world today. We'll chat to you next time.